Need this life to build up. Come in, tag somebody. Hi Chanela, how you doing? Kieran D. Payne. How y'all doing? Come in, tag somebody, tell them come in. James Bond responded to me after we had a civil conversation, a civilized discussion on our positions on City Hall. But he came to respond to my live. And I think it's only fair that I do the same, respond to him. So there's a number of things that we would have to talk about in addressing Mr. Bond. There's a number of stuff we got to talk about. So tag a friend, tag somebody. He threw out the request, for me to come on his live. But I could not acquiesce to such a request. One, hear me. You know what? Let me let this live build up to probably 100 persons because I don't really want to go back and forth. This live is about me responding to a live that Mr. James Bond just did. So like I said, he threw out this request for me to join him on his live to have a public discussion. I could not in good conscience acquiesce to such a request. Reason being is that when you listen to Mr. James Bond live, it would be a foolish thing to do to go on live with him. One, I'm surprised, very much surprised, because I thought that as someone with legal training, that he would have been able to look at my life, he would have been able to deconstruct my arguments and present a counter argument with facts. He has not done that. And so I thought that if I was to join his life, what is going to happen? You're going to have a collision of opinions. And it's going to keep going because this is a complex matter. We have to have a broader discussion when it comes to city council. And so for me to go on his life, it wouldn't be for the benefit of the public. So what I resort to doing is to note his argument and to respond to his arguments. James Bond, however, ladies and gentlemen, admit that he saw my life and he came to you and he said nothing different than what he said yesterday. The usual talking point, City Hall is incompetent. Hand over management to PPP. They get a whole lot of money. They got money to do stuff and they don't do it. That's the regular talking point. That has always been the modus operandi. That has always been the strategy of the government when it comes to City Hall. But what James Bond failed to do as someone in the legal field and as a businessman is to really address these matters in a comprehensive way. For instance, as a businessman, I know, and James should know, I hope, if your business is failing, you have to do an assessment as to what caused the failure or what is causing the failure. You don't just look at all of your staff and tell them they're worthless, they're incompetent, and they need to go. Because I have had businesses that have failed. And James Bond also has a business that has failed. And I'm not sure that James Bond went to all his staff, his supervisors, and his managers and told them that they were all incompetent. Everything rises and falls in leadership. And so for me, what I would have done was to go and figure out, have I created the environment that my staff is able to produce their best? Have I equipped them? Have I resourced them? Have I coached them wherever they were lacking? Have I supported them so that I can get the best out of them? Right? So that's the kind of thing. So you see a problem here? You know what? Throw the baby and the bathwater. That is it. And all of that is being done with one intention: to control the city. You see, the thing about it is when you have this tunnel vision, the only thing that the PPP is interested in right now is controlling the city. So they send James Bond out. Show the people who connect to you that the city has failed and ask them to bring the city. James, it is not going to happen. So James did not come on this live. James did not come on this live and say to me, Saiku, you've made this point. This is my rebuttal. He has not done that. I specifically isolated the Stabroek market, the covered part, and I gave the numbers and showed to James Bond that the revenue collected on that aspect of the city council responsibility was insufficient for them to do what they needed to do. But James did not come to counteract my facts. He came again, broad talking points, corruption, cesspool, and he keep talking and talking and talking. But he has said nothing new. He has presented barely any facts. Now, let us look at some of the things. I said yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. If you want to say that the city councillors are incompetent, then it has to be a case where you would have made the assessment, you would have checked to see if they are resourced, and you would have checked all of those things like what we do as businessmen. And if you have not done those things, then you would have failed as a leader. And so this government has literally failed the city and failed the NDCs because they have not done an assessment to see where the failure is coming from. Rather, they want to just break up everything and throw it away and give them control. But let us talk about that. You talk about it is incompetent and it is gross incompetence, and so they should turn it over to the city. Well, James, let me offer this to you. When it comes to GPL and the matter of electricity in this country, the PPP for 28 years have failed miserably in delivering stable power supply to this country. They have messed with businesses. People have experienced a whole ton of losses. And GPL, on face value, prima facie evidence, is managed by people in the PPP, surrogates of the PPP, promoted by the PPP, and they have been gross incompetence in that organization. So I will submit to you that you go back to your leaders and tell them, because of your incompetence at GPL, turn it over to APNU. Because APNU ran GPL for 4 years, 3 budget cycles thereabout, and it was in a better state and a better condition and provided better quality of stable electricity to the people of this country. And so I am submitting to you that you turn it over. If you are not willing to do that, and the PPP is not willing to do that, then you have no right. You have no authority, moral or otherwise, to call for the turnover of city council to the PPP. You know, he mentioned that I don't know the law and I am a rookie and I need to go read and I don't understand this and I don't understand that when it comes to local government organs and stuff like that. Well, let this rookie talk to you. Let this rookie school you, Mr. Teacher. Because when you stand up in front of the class, you must be able to have your facts. You talk about decentralization and the purpose of these local authorities act is for decentralization. It's not about central government. Well, maybe you are not aware But decentralization is not 100%. The city council and the local democratic organs are not 100% independent of central government. Go back and read your notes. Go back and read your notes. As a matter of fact, the town clerk at city council, Miss Nelson, Carol Sober, they were all installed by the Ministry of Local Government with influence from central government. How were they able to? They were both rejected by the city council, yet they hold that position. Why? Because the local government minister has authority to install or to make those appointments. Even when the city councillors decided that they do not want these people to run it. Now, this is not about Ms. Sober, this is not about Candace. But when you're talking about decentralization, you cannot talk about it in a vacuum. You have to spill the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Again, it's half truths and whole lies. You guys jar the door. And that is the thing I learned about Satan, you know. Satan just don't come and tell you a lie, you know. He mixes it with some truth. And so it becomes more believable. But here what happened, we have experience, we see through all of that. You know? Now, you talk about decentralization. Look at the look at the initiatives. You said when you read chapter 28:1, you could understand that they can have business relationship with businesses. They can do other things outside of taxing. And you said that because at the end of the day, you said that the APNU PNC strategy is to tax the people. James, the city cannot run without money. And it is not for you and the PPP government to determine that there are 4 avenues to raise revenue, but you limit the city to 2 because of your authority through the Ministry of Local Government. You limit the city to 2 and then come back to tell them that they've not done a good job. Your party, I keep saying, have strangled the city of the necessary opportunities that it needs to raise funds. I'm going to give you some instances. I was made to understand that the Lotto Fund was an initiative of the council under Hamilton Green, under the Mayor Hamilton Green. It was hijacked by the PPP government. It was hijacked by the PPP government. When we look at the parking meter, there were PPP members as part of the crew that was protesting against the parking meter under Miss Chase Green, who is now a PPP councillor and member. You didn't know that? Let me school you. So you don't come here and talk about, and you know, I like to get the. So you don't come here and talk about these things. Those are initiatives. Let us look at the interest waiver. There are businesses who owe the city. They fell on hard times and they owe the city, and the interests keep building up, and they owe the city millions and millions of dollars. The Minister of Local Government stopped an initiative of the city or a practice of the city councillors to offer interest waivers to those people who owe taxes so that they could collect on the principal. A lot of persons were willing to do that. That is another way of the city getting back some of the revenue. But you know what? Your minister stopped it. Because the argument is, oh, you want to give interest waiver to this person, you want to give... That is beside the point. The fact of the matter is that the city council is not 100% truly independent of central government. On the face it is. But the reality is that the government holds them back. You talk about they want to tax you. James, this is not about tax. It's there about since 1997. Or thereabout, there has been a revaluation of property values in Georgetown. So in essence, what you have is people paying taxes that are relevant, the amount for 2 decades ago. inflation has gone skyrocketed over that period of time. Do you expect the same amount of income can be used? If you stagnate the income, you think the same amount of income can be used to provide the services whose cost has gone through the roof over that period of time? You cannot, in all good conscience, with any sense of business acumen that you might have, any trickling of it, James, it would tell you that you cannot stagnate revenues and expect skyrocketing expenses, those revenues to meet skyrocketing expenses. It is ludicrous. It is mad. And so the issue with the city becomes a revenue issue. Your government has strangled the city. You've stopped them. You were part of a crew, which also included some people who didn't like the mayor at the time, or was against the mayor, and you stopped that project. You stopped that project. You know, and like I mentioned, you hijacked the lottery project. This is according to Mr. Green. You hijacked the lottery project and made it a central government initiative. Hundreds of millions pour in to the lottery project, to the lottery. You know what the city could have done with that? Then you say the city collects billions, because they like to throw this figure up. They like to say, the city collected 3 billion last year. To all of you, the Don Sings, and all of you who's throwing out this $3 billion, according to the city council, it will require of them in excess of $15 billion per year to maintain drain, sanitation, garbage disposal, security, staffing, because the city council is also responsible for security. To do all of those things, to properly staff the city council to be able to function properly and deliver service in all those areas, it would cost the city in excess of $15 billion. But where are they getting $15 billion from? Their only chance right now is through rates and taxes. So if you're saying as a government, we don't want no new taxes, and it's surprising that this government would say, when it comes to APNU, no new taxes. Anything that comes out of City Hall is viewed as a tax. He's talking about, you can provide certain services. Any service that the city provides to the citizenry and puts an additional charge on it will be viewed as a tax by the city, and the government will use it for political fodder. So it is for that reason there has to be a close collaboration between the managers of the city and central government. You cannot choose to say today that, you know what, for political expediency, you want central government, you want the city to operate independent, when in reality, in the back door, through the Ministry of Local Government, you're undermining the city council. You're undermining the city, the managers of the city as a group. It cannot work like that, and people need to know the truth. City council is not independent 100% of central government. Let James come here or go down do another life and tell me that is not true. So my teacher, as you say you're a teacher, first of all, you can be a teacher, but you have to teach me on things that you're competent about. You create a whole thing about knowing, and I don't even know how much constituencies. Listen, I didn't demarcate Georgetown. I live in constituency 14, so I missed one. Right? Do you need a cupcake for that? Do you need a cupcake for that? So let me show you something. You talk about collaboration. Let me teach you something about collaboration when it comes to government and cities. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. There are instances where the Democrats are in power. They have a Democrat president, and the city is controlled by Republicans, and they collaborate. You have instances where it flips around. The Republican president as now Donald Trump, and you have Democrats that can run the city. Listen to me, in 2022, let's talk about collaboration. In 2022, the federal government provided to the local organs, for want of a better word, the local organs in Washington, D.C., 7.5 billion US dollars, so that they can respond to infrastructure maintenance, they can respond to providing healthcare services and education. That is what the central government of the United States did. And this is outside of taxes and other revenue generating initiatives. Out of the revenue that is coming from those initiatives that are controlled by the Washington, D.C. Local organizations, local organs. The government supports the city, Washington, D.C., to the tune in 2022 alone of 7.5 billion US dollars, brother. Let us talk facts. UG, as my colleague was letting me know, UG has how much? About 5,000 students. How much money the government gives the University of Guyana? And the University of Guyana collects fees. Billions of dollars it gives to the university. Nothing is wrong. It needs to give to the university more and stop the foolishness. But what's it? The online thing. Equip the university, but that's the next conversation. We're going to come to that at another time. But the university needs more money, so don't for a second think I'm proffering that there's an issue with that subvention. But I'm making a comparison, right? You give the university $3-5 billion. You give the university $3-5 billion on a yearly basis. And it has 5,000 students. But then you give the city no money in 2021. 2022, 23, 24, and probably 2025. You give them $30 million per year. 30 million Guyana dollars per year as a subvention, while you owe them almost $19 billion in taxes, while the government owes them that. And you're saying, how many people live in this city, James? How many people? You have over 200, maybe 150 to 200,000 persons or even more living in the city. And the government gives the city a scraping of $30 million a year as a subvention. The city generates, let us say, less than 2 point something to $3 billion in revenue, but it will take about $15 billion a year to manage the city. You know what you're gonna what is the result of that? Failure, complete failure to be able to provide the necessary services it needs to provide. What the city has to be doing is like what my mother had to do when we were small. Turn a dollar into 15 cents into a dollar. Cut back here, cut back there. And you see the cut back in maintenance. You see the cut back in the inability to do new roads, to maintain roads. Because you know what? All the money comes in for staff, employment costs, sanitation. Employment costs, security, sanitation. Employment, that's it. It's a cycle. And the PPP is aware of this. And they continue to antagonize the city council. They continue to be at loggerheads with the city council. Listen, James, go get your facts. 2023 local government election, what did the vice president of this country say? Win or lose, we will work with the city. Because you know why he said that? He thought he could have get the city. He thought that the people was going to want the city. So you know what? He came out joyful, win or lose, because he thought he was going to win. He didn't really calculate the loss, because they were spending a ton of money in West Rhineville, 40 million, giving people $250,000 as a small business loan, grant and stuff like that. So they thought they were going to win this. And what did he say? Win or lose, we are going to work with the city. James, let the facts show that the government has done nothing to collaborate and work with the city. The government is basically, what else is the government doing with the city? How has the government collaborated with the city? Did the government consult, you talking about consultation, that the city, the people of the city present a budget and they've not consulted with the residents? I told you yesterday and I'm going to tell you again, don't come for the speck in the city council eye. Pull out the moat, the plank in your own PPP eyes. Because when you talk about consultation, James, right? Let us talk about that. Did the president and his advisors consult with the city on the revival plan? Was there a comprehensive consultation or consultative process on the revival city plan that the president announced the other day, which I deem as his local government campaign strategy? You say, no, it's not that. Listen, if it walk like a dog, smell like a dog, and wag its tail like a dog, is a dog. And right now, that is your local government strategy. That is the fact. That is my truth when it comes to that issue. And your government did not comprehensively have a comprehensive consultation process with the managers of the city. Go back and ask your own councillors when the meeting happened. What are the minutes? Did it take place at State House? No. Right? You said that I got a lot of things wrong, but that's like trying to say, oh, you're going to speak on things and you don't know. I know enough. Because when I come here with facts. And if you're going to dispel my facts, say what is it you're dispelling. You've said nothing yesterday. Today, in response to what I said, you came and talked broad. So that's the problem when it comes to the city. And people don't want to admit. Again, he's saying that I want to defend the city. And there's nothing that I say that I cannot defend the indefensible. I am not defending the city. I am not arguing with you that there are people that function in the city that are not incompetent, that are slothful. I am not telling you that they might not respond to issues in a manner that is lethargic. I am not saying that. But what I am saying is that you cannot throw out the baby with the bathwater in your quest to have control over the city. You have failed. If the city councillors have failed, the PPP government has failed. Then you say the city has done no roads. But hear this again. Don't, Saiku, don't go off. Let us look. We know Georgetown as the Garden City. When did Georgetown stop being the Garden City? Georgetown stopped being the Garden City when the PPP took power in 1992. The city of Georgetown began to deteriorate because of the strategy and the way the government approached city council. They didn't look at city council as an ally, that Georgetown being the center of power, that they should work with the city, figure out some issues and help the city managers to do a good job. They knew their votes didn't come from the city, and they resort to the regular political victimization of the people of Georgetown by withholding resources that they know the city needed. Then we transition after 23 years of the PPP neglect and unwillingness to support the city, antagonizing the people. We walk through the 23 years, and then we arrive at 2015, where David Granger became president to 2020. And look at the transformation of the city. James, speak the truth and shame the devil. Look at the transformation of the city under President David Granger between 2015 and 2020. What is the difference? The common denominator there is the political party that held the power of governance. And so for 23 years, you did not do what David Granger did in 5 years with less money. Then you come to 2020 to 2025. Oil-rich economy, billions from the oil fund, and still the city remains in a deplorable state, for want of a better word. And your government sits at the top, blaming the city councillors for incompetence, blaming them for not being able to deliver services of a high quality standard or quality to the people. But you fail to accept that the subvention given by your government does nothing to help with the shortfall in revenue. You argue that the city council has the power to enter into certain business arrangements that would allow them to earn more revenue. Where are they in the name of business? Even banks ZIH don't make this amount of money. Where is the city council going to find any business transaction in this city with any foreigner that would allow them to make $10 billion? What business transaction are you talking about that could help city council? I'm not saying, mind you, I'm not saying that they should not enter agreements and partnerships that allow them to increase their revenue. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. And this is the kind of conversation we need to have. I agree with you on that. They should find ways to collaborate. But the truth also is, there is a hindrance. And there is evidence to that hindrance that your government, the PPP government, has been a hindrance to the city. On the Lotto initiative, they stole it. They team up with protesters and they came against the parking meter. When Miss Green was mayor, now she's for PPP. Let her speak the truth. Let her tell you that. You know, the interest waiver program, the government, again, if it doesn't work, or we believe that, you know what, you're giving our political enemy a pass on this, we're going to shut the whole program down. It is the same thing, it's the same strategy that they use with Linden, with the Linden enterprise that they did. Once the APNU decided that the small business owners of Linden should be able to access as much as $10 million, and the first loan went out, the PPP shut down the program. The PPP, your party has a history of marginalizing, suppressing, and strangling constituencies that do not support them. That is the history. That is your track record. So you cannot come here by announcing city revival plans. You said that, you know, city revival plans and your PR strategy, and you come to this internet and tell people, you know, look at them, they failed. The gutters are not well kept. You know, the roads have not been rehabilitated. They've not been adequately maintained. It is the government under the PPP that has done all the roads in this country. James, again, don't speak half-truths. There are roads in this country that are the responsibility under the responsibility of central government. So when you say the government do all the roads, make it sound like if city council had to do all the roads. So I'm just putting that out there, right? So the little cross streets, and most of the time, those are the ones that city council do, right? So there's nothing different. APNU did it too. APNU went to South, and President Granger, Patterson, they went to South Rhineville, and they did roads in that community. They started resurfacing some of the roads in that community. So, you know, don't come here, you know, and look at the tree or the city, see a whole lot of rotten leaves, and point to us and say the farmer is the problem. Don't look at it and say the farmer is the problem. Because like I said, James, you had businesses that failed. I had businesses that failed. Did we throw away the staff? Did we throw them away? Did we curse them out and say that they're incompetent and they need new management? If that is the case, then cigars and cognac need new management because you have failed. If that is the case, then the fish shop that I had need new management. That is it. It needs new management. Andrew's supermarket was on the brink of bankruptcy. It was on the brink of failure. I've done my best, and there were moments when it wasn't working out. But I'm still the leader. I'm still the leader. My wife is still the manager, and it is succeeding. So what we would do? What happened? My family and my brother-in-law who was supporting me should have thrown me away. That is not the point. You have to be able to assess what are the issues, what is causing the failure. And in this instance with the city, it might be a mixture of some incompetence, some level of failure at the city council. But for the most part, the ability of the city council to deliver quality services to the citizens of Georgetown is a revenue issue. First and foremost, it is a revenue issue. And that revenue issue cannot be solved because the government on a number of occasions have hijacked, have opposed, you understand? And have made political those programs or those initiatives that the city proposed to get more revenue. Then we look at taxing as rates and taxes. I said this before and I'm going to say it again. Go to some of your PPP businessmen and ask them how much rates and taxes they pay for the properties that they have in the US with swimming pool. Every time you add a swimming pool to your property, your taxes go up. Every time you do a renovation or an extension, your taxes go up. I am not saying that we should tax the people. I am saying that the government should provide the city council with an opportunity to review the tax structure, the rates and tax structure of the city, to bring it in line with what is feasible, both for the city and the residents of the city. I give you an example. Andrew Supermarket, our garbage disposal is about, let's say, between 30 something to 50 something $1,000. I think for one skid. If we have two at a store to manage disposal, you know how much money we're talking about? Yet you're saying to me that as a private citizen, you're okay. You know, that I should not raise, that the city should not increase rates and taxes in some areas. Listen, we can do some stuff. Listen, hear this proposal, James, because it's not only that I shoot down what you're saying and provide you with the facts. Let me give you a proposal. How about if the city proposes, and I hope the mayor is listening, how about if the city proposes this? We're gonna do garbage disposal, but you're gonna have an allowance of one garbage container. If you need more, you'll have to pay for that extra service. Maybe $1,000, maybe $500, whatever the city determines with consultation. And they go buy a sticker like they do in Missouri, and they put it on that extra bin. And when the garbage truck comes out and the attendants come, they empty the first one for free. And if they don't see a sticker on the second one, they leave it right there. That is a way to earn revenue. That's a way to earn revenue. How about if the city determines that, okay, you want to enter the city, you're coming from Region 3, you're coming from Linden, you're coming from Berbice, you're coming from all these places. You come into the city, you use you use toilets, you use all of these facilities. You add a burden to the city. You add expense to the city. You earn in the city. and then you drive in the afternoon out of the city and enjoy your life with your family, and the city has to pick up the pieces. What if we say to those people coming to the city, we need $100? If your address is not in the city, you don't live in the city, and you're coming from outside of the city, we need $100 to offset some of those expenses. You know what you're going to say? I can give you that proposal, but you're going to say, you know what? You're taxing the people. It's not about that. So what about if we say to the government, of the revenue that you are collecting on road taxes from vehicles, road taxes that you're collecting, I forget the terminology that we use. For the road taxes, I think it's like 4,000 or something. Don't quote me on that. If you say to the government, of those monies that you collect, since Georgetown takes off most of the traffic on the roads, that you give us a fair percentage cut of that. That is a proposal also. If we say, listen, if GPL uses the parapets which we control, with the city controls, they pay us adequately for using those parapets. How about those things for the revenue generation? But you see, what you did, what you want to do, James, and what your PPP government wants to do, is to say to the city in the open that you have as an example, you have 4 avenues to earn revenue. But 2 of these are off limit because it is not politically expedient for us. It is of no value to us politically. So these 2 are off limits. Only touch these 2. You can, and then you come to say that city council is decentralized of central government. It is a lie. It is not true. True independence allows the city to make the decisions that it has to make. And your government is not allowing the city to do that. You've chopped them, you've cut them off from certain things. Then you say to them, well, you know what, we're going to give you a subvention. And then for 100 and something, 200,000 persons traversing the city on a daily basis, garbage everywhere. They're using washroom facilities that the city got to deal with. And you're telling me you're going to give me 30 million Guyana dollars? You are serious, brother? 30 million? And I'm supposed to hand over the city to you? Your government do not care about the citizens of Georgetown. They might care about the citizens of Bel Air because that is where they won their seat. They might care for the constituencies that they won. But they do not care for the for Georgetown. It took the people. Listen, I live in West Rhineveld. There is a road in West Rhineveld. For 23 years of the PPP government, the PPP never walked. I never even knew a road existed there. It took David Granger as president to walk in there and with his minister, Patterson, and fix that road. And then you know, those are the little things. So the common denominator here, when it comes to the success or failure of the city, is government. That is one of the common denominators, the common factors. David Granger being a president, Apnu in government, the city began to be restored to some semblance of it being a garden city. The PPP is in government, it continues to deteriorate. You're telling me that is Apnu is the problem? The problem is you, the PPP. Your government is the problem. You know, then you say the city council have done nothing. Listen, I got family members. That took their kids to daycare centers. Low-cost daycare centers in West Rhineveld, in East Rhineveld. Right? And it was the city council that bore the burden of those expenses and provided those services. But because of a lack of revenue, they had to close some of those daycare centers down. The creche burned down. The creche, what we call the creche, the East Rhineveld Center, burnt a couple of years now. Did your government step in as a city council in the interest of those poor mothers who would like to go seek a job and need a place, a daycare for their kids? We are going to rebuild this center in collaboration with you. We're going to offer this help. Did the government do that? No. So don't come here and play your righteous. You ain't righteous. You're a sinner that is saved by grace. And your government is woefully inadequate when it comes to dealing with matters concerning the city. They have been found wanting tremendously. And so James, listen to me. You are not going to get away with none of this. I ain't know them, I ain't the APNU or the PNC would allow you to talk crap and lies and allow you to get away with it. Wrong bang, wrong person. Right? But I don't want you and I, this is my desire, I don't want you and I or anybody from the PPP to get into a back and forth and we go low. We have to escalate the conversation. We have to lift it. We have to have a broad conversation. You have to be able to look at me and say, Saiku, I don't agree with this part. I don't agree with this part, I agree with this part. And we could come up with something, some semblance of an agreement that would allow the people in the city, that would allow the managers of the city to have some sort of opinion coming from us as citizens. You know. So again, your government has done nothing to help the city. Collaboration, what collaboration looks like as an example is Washington, D.C., where the Republican-controlled central government or federal government churns out $7.5 billion to support local democratic organs in the city to provide education, healthcare, infrastructure, development, and maintenance. Those are some of the services that the city of the local democratic organs of Washington, D.C. provide to its citizens, and the central government or the federal government of the U.S. provides that assistance. Compare that to Guyana, that has spent over $5 trillion in a 5-year period. Your government has provided to the city council, the biggest city in this country, with a revenue shortfall of almost $12 billion. Your government look at that council square in the face and give them over a 5-year period $120 million. And you coming here for play self-righteous. And you coming here for school me. You're here to school me. James Bond, you might be able to school me at a certain level of law. Because I only did one course in law under Archbishop. So you might be able to school me on a certain level of law. And I would accept. But hear what you can't school me on. You can't school me on being pragmatic. It's where I come from. You can't school me on business. You can't school me on leadership. You are nowhere close in those regards to me. And this is not being disrespectful. But when you come on this internet, and I must address this, you don't address me as no boy. I'm a good kid. You are in nowhere shape or form superior to me. Nowhere shape or form. You ain't no muscle. I ain't got no muscle. I'm my own independent individual. I don't make a boss. I have people who I look up to. People who can lead me. People who I lean on for counsel. Spiritually, business-wise, leadership. You don't address me as no boy. That was a low blow, brother. And I think that maybe by that, your arrogance got the best of you and you kind of lose your way in addressing me. Don't do it. My name is Saiku Andrews. I've addressed you as a brother. I've addressed you as a friend. Don't come with your arrogance to me on this internet. Don't do it. Do not do it. Right? I don't have to forgive you because you didn't ask for forgiveness. And I don't even want to go there, but all I'm just saying is don't do it. It's condescending, and I'm not the person that you need to do that with. Trust me, James, I'm not the person. Right? So, when you walk around with Miss Green, you guys tell the people of South Rhineville why the spaces, the green spaces, you said the young people need spaces. Let me talk about that. And you chastise the city council for those spaces. Let us have a conversation about that. I went to North Rhineville and I'm speaking to the young people in North Rhineville. And they say, bro, we need space. We need to run. We need to, we need to be able to play our soccer in the afternoon. And I said to them, so where are you? What happened? South Rhineville, North Rhineville is one of the most beautifully designed, technically sound, designed communities in this entire country. Flawless in design. How come you don't have a space? I said, no, we used to hit ball on this reserve here, and the government took it, and now the bill over the police station, and they took it. So they don't have no space there anymore to run. It's not an official space, but that's what they used to use. But the government took it over and renovated the police station, the South Rhineville police, North Rhineville outpost at the back. When you look at East Rhineville, North Rhineville Secondary School, North or East Rhineville, or back school. When you look at back school had a big ground there. A big ground. Somebody with a bright idea. Throw up some big buildings on the ground and shrink the ground. Back school can't even keep sports on that ground. You know what they gotta do? They gotta hope that the stadium builds someplace over associate proposed for probably go over there. And you're talking about spaces? You now start coming to the city and rehabilitating grounds and spaces. Suddenly, from 2020, what have you done all the time? What have you done? That is the truth, buddy. That is the truth. So I really don't want you and I to have a back and forth on this internet, because this is my last response to you. Because the message is already out there and you cannot shut it down. This live is going to be there. You cannot shut it down. The truth is, City Council has a shortfall in revenue to manage the city. It would take them, according to one councillor, between $15 to $20 billion to deliver exceptional service to the city. They collect between $2 to $3 billion in revenue, but that remains a shortfall at the lowest end of that projection, that revenue projection to run the city. They would have been out by $12 billion. So they have a revenue issue. Don't go to their incompetence. Don't chastise them yet. They have a revenue issue. You have said that they should read chapter 2801 and utilize the power to enter into business transactions and partnerships to increase that revenue. I am saying to you, if the law provides for it, I agree, they should. But whatever is earned from these things will not be able to cover that shortfall. In the next 10 years, it won't be able to do that. Because even DDL and Bank ZIH and Citizen Bank don't earn that kind of money. Right? So which partnership are they going to be able to enter into to earn 12 to $15 billion? It means that there has to be a relationship and a partnership with the government. On that end, the government has consistently shown that it do not want to have the kind of progressive relationship with the city council that allows them to deliver quality service to the people. And the evidence is there. They've not given the city council a fair cut of the revenue that comes from motor vehicles. The vehicles that come from motor vehicles in the city. They've given the city $120 million as a subvention over a 4-year period, taking those shortfalls into consideration. They've stagnated the city with regards to the people that run the affairs of the city. They've installed the town clerks against the advice of the councillors of the city for their own political purposes and control. And so they have not allowed the city to be independent or totally, decentralized from central government. So if you want control, then you got to stump up. You got to pass it. And the government is not prepared to pass it. Because if you talk about consultation, again, citizens of Georgetown, those of you watching this live, the government of Guyana has not taken a consultative approach or posture when it comes to city council. The government has announced the city revival plan, and from my understanding, there was not any consultation that was done on that. And even if it was done at a level that really and truly shuts out the city. So these are the issues with the government. Do I stand here and tell you because the government has made those mistakes, they are incompetent? Well, I know they are incompetent, but did I use that to say that they are incompetent? No. And I will argue with you that because you said that the city has failed to deliver the services, and as such, leadership and control and management must be handed over to the PPP. By the same token, I'm saying to you that under the PPP, GPL has failed this country miserably to the extent that GPL now has to hire another company for almost $15 million to help GPL run GPL. Hold on. This thing just hit me. The management of GPL is paying a company almost $15 million a year to help the management of GPL manage GPL. That is gross incompetence. Every one of those people should be fired. Yeah? And so by that same token, and you know what? I would even, because GPL has failed, I would say to you, then hand over GPL to APNU, because when APNU came to power, it hired a new manager who started to turn GPL around. The minister with responsibility for GPL condemned Patterson for buying generators. It was those same generators that came back to save GPL. So it is clear that there are instances where government agencies have displayed gross incompetence, and we're saying to you, if you want City Hall, then hand over those agencies. If not, you gotta shut your mouth. So the citizens of Georgetown, listen. You have not had, we are not proud. We are not proud of what. No, you're here on my live, James, and you're saying, brother, you can't defend the what is it? The indefensible. City Hall is a cesspool and nothing you can say can change that. What I am saying is already changing what people are thinking about City Hall, because for the first time in forever, they have somebody who's coming on this live and laying the facts out. and basically debunking what you are saying. This is not about the defense of City Hall. We admit that we are not proud of the city. We admit that the services that the city is supposed to deliver, they have not been able to deliver. But I'm saying there must be a deep introspection and analysis and dissection of the issues that City Hall faces. And the major one is revenue. And I've been laboring on this life to tell you that there's a shortfall of revenue. You have basically strangled the city and said this avenue is no longer available to you because we're central government. We have the power. It runs even, and we're going to stop you from doing this. Which is, and that also counters your argument that city council is totally independent of central government. Right? And so revenue is an issue. And then when we look at central government has given the city $120 million over a 4-year period to assist them in the shortfall of revenue, which amounts to, in essence, almost $12 billion. Because the numbers is, if the city is to do everything that they need to do, it would cost them between 15 to $20 billion a year. Right? So go in the constitution and ask if they want city council. They voted the last time, and they vote at no end to control the city, and they will do it again. They will do it again. They will do it again. Come 2026, whenever the government believes, because this has always been the strategy, they get the city revival project up and running, and their PR machinery turns out, and they believe they have enough traction, and they're in a good position, they're going to call local government. You're talking about love for the city, brother. You're talking about love for the city. Let us talk about that. Let us talk about that. Your government did not call a local government election since 1997 or thereabout. It was David Granger who came in 2015 and put in place and called local government elections and started obeying the law with regards to that. Where was your government loving the city? Why you didn't give the citizens a chance to elect their representatives on the city council? No. What you did was go around to all of the NDCs, and wherever it was convenient, you put an interim management committee to manage the affairs of NDCs and other regions. That is what your government did. Because your government likes total control and domination. It doesn't like democracy. And that is why there are pains with selling the 2020 fiasco. There are pains of repeating it because they want to convince themselves that they are democratic and that the AP and the PNC is undemocratic. So they've gone through hoops, sleepless nights to sell this narrative. But the evidence is clear. When there was a chance for the government to allow the people of constituencies to elect their representative, they took the high-handed approach and they installed interim management committees that they control. How about that for the truth? Go to your record, Mr. Teacher. Go to your records and bring it up and prove that I am lying. If you can't come on live and say, Saiku, this is not true, don't come on no live, brother. Yesterday you said the same things you said today, you said yesterday. I'm saying to you. You understand? So again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but that's it. I want you guys to share this live. The one yesterday you did well, but I need this one today, to be shared broad and wide. Like this page. Follow this page. And I'm going to research and I'm going to dig deep and bring to you the facts. And I'm going to bring to you the argument. Because the PPP and James Bond cannot be allowed to hoodwink the people of the city. You guys walk around the city, the mayor, Miss Chase Green, walking with you to these constituency and telling people city council failing. When she was mayor and deputy mayor, wasn't the city failing too? Ask her, look at her square in the face and say, what caused you to fail? What, not her, what caused your municipality, the managers of your municipality during your tenure to fail? And let her tell you, revenue was the biggest problem. Let her tell you. She used to speak out against the government on those issues. Oh, and I need to address, I see I'm getting a call from somebody at City Council. Maybe they don't want to give me some information. But you said that the budget came in, they didn't provide a budget, and the budget came in 200 and something days late. I can't defend that. I cannot defend that. If the budget came in 200 and something days late, I can't defend that. I don't know of that. And I cannot defend it. Right? And you're saying that that they have not consulted with the people on a budget. How much consultations have your government done with the national budget? They didn't consult APNU, the main opposition party at the time. They did what they had to do. So, again, take the spec, the plank out your own eye before you come for the spec in City Council eye. Other than that, James, you said nothing. You've not convinced any intelligent person to vote for the PPP at these local government elections. Because your plan is simple and it is so childish. It is so novice. Anybody with a brain could see through it. What you do is you highlight a failure and argue that you are a better manager and you should be given the job. It's like in business. We have a staff, we have supervisors, and we have managers. It's like a staff coming to me who is responsible for the beverage lane and saying to me, you know, that supervisor who's responsible for the entire store has made an error that people are not seeing price tags. And so because they take care of the beverage lane, they should be allowed to be the supervisor. James, only a mad leader would do something like that. I would first have to analyze the failures of my supervisor and then analyze the competence of the individual who manages the beverage lane to know if they're competent for managing the entire store. But you see, you guys don't understand leadership from a situational point of view. You don't understand situational leadership. What you understand is directive. That's what you want. You want to direct and control everything. Right? So I cannot give you the city when you've shown me that you cannot even manage the government. You got 25 ministers and you cannot even manage money properly. I'm going to hand over the city to you. How better could you manage the city? You think because you're doing a couple of roads that makes you a good manager? You know how many business people build big businesses, start big businesses and run bankrupt? Because you know why? There's a difference between being able to generate money and being able to keep money. Any fool could get $1 million, but it takes a wise manager to keep it and multiply it. So your government being able to build a road because they have oil money doesn't make them a good manager. Your managerial competence is tested when we look at the sugar industry. 200 million US on a plant, on a processing plant that has been on it, that has not been able to deliver anything remotely close to the projections. That is failure. It is not about building the plant. Where is the plant now? What revenue is the plant generated? Incompetence is thinking that it is okay. You know what? Don't even let me go there, because I don't think that one day, the one that I'm just going to bring here is not political song argument, because at the end of the day, I'm a politician too. Incompetence, let me tell you what incompetence look like. Incompetence is when you look at what David Patterson did with the East Coast Widening Road project. Brought it in under budget and under the time span, and was able to put $6 million over to another project. Incompetence, that is competence. Incompetence now is the Ogle bypass road, which was supposed to cost us how much? We lost about 9 million, which was 17.1 minus 9.5. Oh, that was supposed to cost us $7.5 million per kilometer of road. Your government took over that project. And it ended up costing us, when they finished the project, it ended up costing us not even over a 5-year period to even account for inflation. You can't argue that. It ended up costing this country $17.1 million for 1 kilometer of that same road. That was projected to cost us 7.5. That is a loss of what? 17.1 minus 7. That is over $9.5 million per kilometer. At 11 kilometers, you're looking at $105 million that you lost because of gross incompetence. Even if I shake it down 25%, it's $75 million you would have lost. Even if I count it for inflation, that is what you would have lost. That is incompetence, bro. So you can't come here and talk about the people of this country or the citizens should allow you to manage a city when you can't even manage a road project to deliver it on the budget, deliver it in a way that you can divert monies to other projects to benefit the lives of the people. Incompetence is buying generators that are old with a D, old, and can't function. Incompetence is blackout left, right, and center. But hey, listen to me. I tell you, it's the wrong tree you're barking up, bro. When it comes to these issues, James, I ain't gonna talk while. I'm just here to make the argument. And the people that are on this live, I am asking you, because they say death to APNU and to the PNC. And the PNC, I said yesterday, that because a lot of the people in the PNC is of a Christian persuasion, they've sat and said, you know what, I'll argue with this foolishness. But a lie travels faster than the truth. But the truth stands the test of time. But here my counter is that your lies will not travel fast. My truth will travel fast. And so I'm asking you on this internet, those of you who are independent, you don't work with no government, you're a barber, you're a carpenter, you're self-employed. Share the life, share the news, share the facts, let it travel fast. So that it could meet the young people of this country. It could meet the young people of our constituencies. And they will come out and vote against the PPP. We need to take, they corrected me that it's not 14 constituencies, it's 12. I have a mint or a nice cupcake for all those who think that, he doesn't know how much constituencies. Good. I ain't gonna forget the one though. And I thank you for the correction. But here's the thing. We need to take back the city, and this plan is simple. Force the government to do right by the city. You have elected councillors in your constituency that the PPP refuse to work with, and then they come back behind the councillors' back and tell you, you see the councillor ain't doing nothing. And James Bond is the chief spokesman. He walks around with the mayor and a couple of other folks, and he comes to you and say, you know what? Don't vote to the councillor. You ever see the councillor? Where's the councillor? The councillor don't walk. We don't know who's the councillor. Young people, listen, a lot of us don't know a lot of things. Right? A lot of us don't know a lot of things. But this is what these people do. They come with a little truth and a whole lot of lies. Just like how the don't let me say it. But that's how they come. So it becomes believable. You see, if I didn't respond to James Bond, a lot of persons would come on this, would have listened to his life and say, you know what? The man talking the truth, boy. It's a real boy. You know, these drains don't clean. But now you know why the drains don't get clean. You know why the city don't deliver. You know why? Not because only of incompetence, because you might pick out certain decisions as not being the best. But the truth is the government don't support city council. How you expect a city council to have a shortfall of almost $12 billion if they were to offer all of these services? And your support mechanism to them, or your support for them financially, is 120 million Guyana dollars, less than $1 million US. Less 120 to 600,000 US to help run a city that has more than 100 and something thousand persons. The capital city. And if you contrast that with the US, Donald Trump's federal government provides to the city, Washington, D.C., provides to Washington, D.C., local organs, local democratic organs, $7.5 billion in 2022. $7.5 billion comes from the federal government to support that, so that they can maintain healthcare, they can maintain infrastructure, provide healthcare services, and education to people. What is this government talking about? Until this government comes to the table with the city and be honest and say, hey, the city is the center of power. It is controlled by the APNU councillors. Give me your proposals. Where are your problems? If I were the president, that would have been my approach. And we would have had this consultation and this conversation. And it would have been premised, my response to you and a willingness to work with you and to capitalize you and to offer you funding would have had some caveats. That if you are found to be wanting and incompetent in certain areas, you wouldn't be able to manage certain projects. Simple, buddy. What do we want? The question is, what does the PPP want? Does it want a garden city? Come on, guys, I'm on a live. Does it want a garden city? Or does it want control of the city? Your motive, what is it? Do you want the citizens to enjoy an excellent life? Where the services provided for by the city council, security, sanitation, garbage disposal, healthcare, certain other services like daycare. If you want those to be provided to the people that you claim you love, then your approach would have been one that would have been consultative, and it would have resulted in you giving the people some more money. Increase the subvention. Yesterday I said $500 to $1 billion. But when I heard these numbers again, I'm saying, it needs to be more. You need to give the city council at least $5 billion. $5 billion a year. Because you give the University of Guyana 4, and they got 5,000 students, and they still collect revenue. You give the gold program as much as you give the University of Guyana. And you're giving the city $120 million over 4 years. $30 million a year. You're ridiculous. You have been found wanting. The judgment is out on you. And you will lose seats. You will lose seats. I'm saying to the people on this live, come out. Join the APNU. There's a breath of, there's a newness that is happening. Join the APNU. I am recruiting you live. Join the APNU. Come out. Walk your city with this information. Walk your constituencies with this information and let them know that we are not going to give the government control of the city. And it is not far-fetched because of your behavior and your attitude, James Bond, and your government, the PPP's attitude. It is not far-fetched to think that when it comes to rates and tax that are owed, that your government would manipulate the system and use the courts to relieve portions of their prime real estate as a result of taxes if you control the city. It is not far-fetched because you've shown consistently that you do not care about these people. So again, I'm not here to defend the mayor, the deputy mayor, the markets committee. I'm not here to defend them. I'm not here to say that that mistakes were not made. I'm not here to say that, you know what, I am proud of the city. I am here to say that the government cannot point a finger because it is responsible for the failures of the city. And the evidence is there. Guys, again, continue to monitor this page. Continue to like, share the post. I am probably not going to respond to James Bond again because I think the 2 lives that I did is quite sufficient at debunking that. What we are going to do now is go on the ground and let people know that they are crazy people that believes that they can display such gross and such high levels of incompetence in managing certain ministries and government projects, and that you should be naive and stupid to give them control of the city. They believe that you are fools. They have no regards and respect for your intellect. And so we have to send a strong message to them. So whenever local government elections are announced, we'll be ready to prove to them that we ain't fools in the capital city. Thank you guys for your time. Don't expect me to respond to James again, but I can deal with other issues. I'm just gathering the information and the facts, because when I come to you, I do not want to come to you talking with my opinions only. I want it to be supported by facts. So thank you guys very much for sharing the live. I really appreciate your support on this. Like the page, like the page, like the page, like the APNU page. If you see something nice on that page, share it. Because, you know, you guys keep complaining, and it's true. You guys say, you know what, the message is not going out, but the truth be told, that sometimes we don't do enough to get the message out. So we have to keep sharing it, right? Guys, okay, thanks Allah. God bless you. God bless Guyana. God bless our city. Thanks a lot.